Testing. 1, 2, 3. So we are live. It is Wednesday night. It's the 26th of October, and we're going to be starting our live stream. I'm just waiting for some people to log in now. We've got the live chat running. Also, the live chat will be open after the live stream, so I set it up so the live stream will stay active. So if you guys want to correspond with each other, even after the show is done, yeah. So we'll just wait a few minutes and wait for people to log in here. Welcome, live stream. Why am I whispering? Oh, sorry. I have the computer a little bit far away. Is that better? Ready for any questions, comments? Got a couple people logged in. No, just one. People kind of jump in and out all the time, so try to keep things moving here. We can carry on with the stuff we were talking about last night, or we can start on something new, or anything that you need help with or questions about. We were talking about the radiant back spike, or everybody has a different name for it. My daughter's just jumping in here. Somebody's going to show up. Just waiting for people to. Jump in here. Got 2 people logged in. 1 person. Hopefully we'll get more people on soon. Live chat is open. Ask any questions if you want. I'll give it a few more minutes for people to log in. You're here to learn. Well, that's good. Ask me any questions on my projects that I've done. Hey, Reefer, how's it going? How is it in the UK? Hopefully we can get things going. Shut the door, please. Hold on one sec, guys. I just gotta shut the door. Yeah, it's getting cold here too. It's getting really windy. It was raining all day here. Really miserable weather. Just waiting for more people to log in. Anybody have any questions? Let's get the ball rolling here. Um, Stuff I was talking about last night or something new, whatever you guys want. Okay, let's see. Um, what components? Okay, to maintain your dipole. Well, the way the Adams motor works is because you're having a disruptive discharge break. When the spark gap switch opens and you get that spark, at that instant in time, what happens is two things happen. One, the lens effect disappears. Okay. Um, the second thing that happens is you're able to extract power off the dipole without killing it. It's able to recover itself and not create a load. Well, basically, that's the whole problem right there is with lens law. If you can circumvent or basically negate lens law, you've basically won. So the spark gap discharge is a big part of that. Even Gerard Morin, I was watching one of his videos and he was doing a load test on his generator. Second, he introduced the spark gap, the amount of amperage that it took to run his generator went almost to zero. There was no amperage draw. There was no lens effect affecting the generator itself. And so basically, the same thing happens with my Adams motor. If I take my hand and I physically stop that wheel, the amount of lens effect that actually occurs on my motor is about 10 milliamps of draw, which is basically just 10% of lens laws present, which is basically nothing. So the thing is, because it's the spark gap is rapidly firing, you're able to pull a load without the lens effect taking a hold of the motor and dragging the motor down. That's why I'm saying the spark gap switch is such a vital part of the way the motor operates. Now, if I were to get a MOSFET, and you can test this yourself, you can get a MOSFET instead of using the spark gap switch, put a MOSFET in the same configuration, and I'll guarantee you, the second you put your hand on the axle of the wheel spinning, the lens effect's going to take over. It's going to draw a huge amount of amps, probably I would say at least 50 to 90% draw, and it'll kill the dipole. It kills it. You start drawing this huge amount of current into the system, and that's where you get the heat, and that's where you get the hot energy. The way I'm doing it, because I'm doing disruptive discharge, it's a cold electricity, and because there's a break, there's that spark break for the nanosecond that it is open, lens effect disappears. So, like I said, I can put my hand on the motor wheel, slow it right down to a complete stop, and the draw off the battery source, it goes up by 10 milliamps, which means it's only 10% of lens laws taking effect on my motor. So that's why um, uh, somebody asked me this one of my questions on my YouTube channel. Um, yeah, so That's basically it. That's why I use that spark gap switch, is because it's the only thing that I know of that can negate Lenz's law. And I prove it over and over and over again. Almost every day, I'll grab that wheel, slow it down, and it doesn't draw any more than 10 milliamps. In voltage, it's the same voltage. It's 12 volts or 24 volts or whatever I'm putting in it. It'll be 12 volts at 10 milliamps draw. Okay, that's the difference. So eventually it will slow down to the point where it doesn't run. Fine, you just basically shut the whole system down. But you have to understand that spark gap is firing at a very, very high speed. So it's almost to the point where you think it's almost like a dead short. It's completely closed all the time. It isn't. Tesla talks the frequency, energy, frequency, vibration. When you understand that, you understand the keys to the universe. That's what he says. So we can reinterpolate what he said. If you understand energy, frequency, and vibration, that's the key to over unity. That's what he really meant to say. So some of the stuff that Tesla was saying um, in his writings, he would say it a certain way, but he was actually meaning a different way, but he didn't actually want to say that. So that was in his words. So I kind of kept that in the back of my mind while I'm building the motor. I have to think of how much energy I'm putting into the system. I have to think of the frequency I'm putting in the system. And I got to figure what he meant by the vibration. Well, the vibration would be kind of like the frequency, but the vibration is probably, he would consider the oscillation that is being created inside the coil. The coil is actually vibrating. And that's what the piezos do. The piezos are actually shorting the coil in nanoseconds intervals, and you're pulsing the motor at a certain frequency to get the motor running, and now you got these nano micro pulses of shorting the coil with the piezos, which create the vibration. So now you got this high potential in the coil, and now you got piezos making that coil actually essentially vibrate. And because of that, all that huge capacitive inductance that's being stored in the motor is now being ejected out of the coil. And that would explain why before I had the piezos, I could only get one light going, barely get a 5-watt light bulb going. Add the piezos to the scenario, now I'm able to light up 20, 25 watts worth of light bulbs. So if I've increased the potential going through the coil, I've also increased the frequency of the coil, and I'm also making the coil vibrate, which basically circumvents capacitive inductance that is generated in the coil. Because any large mass of coil or windings, it has a capacitance. It's like a capacitor, solid state capacitor. It's holding energy, but you have to give it a way of pushing it out, and that's what the piezos do. Yeah, they're like, piezos. I guess you could say they're like a miniature spark gap, but actually, what they're doing is they're shorting the coil out at a very, very high rate of speed. So yeah, there is a spark inside the piezos because you got quartz crystal. When you got energy going through quartz crystal and you put a potential through it, you're getting a spark. So yeah, it works basically like a mini little spark gap, but you're firing it on the other end. So you got one running at 60 or 80 hertz, and then you got the piezos firing at 127 or higher in frequency. Now you got this differential. Something's got to give, something's got to go somewhere, right? All that power that's in that coil's got to go out now. It can't stay in the coil. So I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody. There's one thing to talk about it and try to describe what I'm saying. It's better if you actually build what I'm building and add the piezo's to it. Do the one test without the piezo's, but use the spark gap switch, the automotive relay switch. Use that and do the test without the piezo's. See what power output you're getting, and then attach the piezo's to it and see what happens. And I'll guarantee you, I've already had two confirmations already by a couple of my subscribers saying that, yeah, it is working, right? Um, Talking about the calcite quartz crystals. Um, yeah, it has to be in a transducer. Um, like hooking up the quartz crystal onto the coil, the characteristics I think would be different. You're looking for like a transducer that's basically opening and closing. It's a shorting. Yeah, the pieces are cheap. You get them on Amazon. The ones I got, they're 27 millimeter, 30 volts rating. You can get like 20 of them, I think, for like $16. So I don't know what it is in euros. Sorry, I'm totally out of tune with exchange rates. But yeah, yeah, if it's $16, my price Canadian, probably in euros, it'd be probably like $10 or maybe less. And it'll probably be get to you a lot faster because all that stuff's made in China. So it's Amazon stuff, right? So I was listening to a good phone call. It was done a while back. Eric Dollard was talking with Aaron Murakami, and they were discussing about J.J. Thompson. You can just look it up on YouTube. It's actually a really good phone call. He explains, how basically J.J. Thompson's theories and Tesla, they're very close. They're probably those two pretty much were seeing everything in the same light about the ether physics and how the ether plays part in gravity and momentum and inertia. It was pretty good, good interview. Uh, any other questions? Anybody else out there have any questions? I think Reefer, you're the one that's putting out the most questions here. Keep it going. um, yeah, see, yeah, the MOSFET gets hot. You have to see where it gets hot is you got to make sure you got to have diodes on a MOSFET, and they got to be facing out because, again, like I said, the MOSFET does not do what the spark gap switch does. Hey, Bernie, what's up? Yeah, Bernie just joined here. He has his Crypto Alchemist broadcast. Check his channel out. He's got some good stuff there, good guests. The Crypto Alchemist on YouTube. Yeah, check his channel out too. He has a lot of great guests, and he goes on APEC and alien scientists, and he does his alchemy. And I've been on his show quite a few times. The interview went pretty good. I just got to wait it out. There was other people having interviews too, so it's a waiting game. Yeah. Yeah, I hope I got it too. We'll see. Well, I applied for many other jobs. I'm just got to hammer out the resumes. Let's see what Reefer said. Design is for perfected in terms of diodes and stuff. On all spots, coils 3 ohms lower. It should be. See, if you're doing it right, the size of the coil, the larger the coil, the better, because you're storing up a huge amount of potential in the coil. Like the one I'm working with right now is almost a pound and a half of solid 24 gauge copper wire. So there's a lot of potential stored in there. And because I'm firing it properly, that coil stays cold. It does not heat up at all. Even the spark gap switch doesn't heat up, and my piezo's don't heat up at all. It stays basically ambient temperature. If anything, my coil goes a couple degrees below ambient. It actually starts cooling off. Um, Linkage is high. Assets are designed for storage. Imagine they're. Yeah, that's the. Oh yeah, the cobalt glass. Yeah, I haven't really experimented too much with the cobalt glass. You're supposed to be well. The theory is you're supposed to be able to see orgone energy with cobalt. It's a blue glass. So if you're interested in the orgone stuff, apparently the best absorber of orgone is water. So when you do the structured water machine and you're using structured water, from what I've understood and what I've learned, is my structured water contains orgone. That's why I'm getting the positive effects as I am from the orgone. Now, Wilhelm Reich, back in the day when he was building his cloudbusters, those coil tubes that were coming out of the back, they were going into large buckets of water. And that's the source. Orgone goes down through the tube, goes through those electrical flexible tubing, and it goes right into a bucket of water. Now, if you're going to build a scale one like he did, be very careful. People have been known to get electrocuted. Huge amount of power goes through that. When the potential starts building up, the orgone starts flowing through those tubes into the water. But watch out, you can get zapped. Um, you want to hear about how I'm using the power as it's coming out? Okay, well, as you know, I'm lighting up LED lights. Right now, I'm just using that basically as a ballast to dissipate the power coming out. So the idea is to have one stack of batteries running inverter system, and the dead batteries being charged by the Adams motor. Put on a switching device, swap them, and then the charged up battery will now run the Adams motor, while the dead battery that was running the inverter is now getting recharged. You can try recharging while you're put a load on it, but it doesn't really work. It has to be stationary and it has to be charged on its own. You can't put a load on the battery while you're charging it. You basically don't get anywhere with it. So you have to have a switching device, which I'm actually trying to design one now where all I have to do is flip two switches and it'll swap everything around. So that'll be coming up in the near future. Any other questions? Anybody? Hopefully, we get more people logging in. Yeah, it's over unity because, see, the fact is, where you're getting the over unity, and I thought about this for a long time too, because it's not really an easy answer. If you're able to charge a battery and say 1/4 of the time, okay, that's a huge gain right there. The other gain is the amount of power that it takes to run the device. So my device runs under 1 watt. So if I got a battery bank, or say like a motorcycle battery, it's like, say, 11 amp hours. All right. I hooked that up to the Adams motor. It would probably run it for about, I'm taking a wild guess, it would run for about 5 days. All right. Give or take. I haven't actually tested that yet, but because the motor only takes 20 to 40, maybe 50 milliamps of power off a battery that size, that's very, very little stress on the battery. The less current that you demand from the power source will make that power source last longer. So you could have high voltage, like 20, put two of them together, you got 24 volts, and say your load is about, say, 40 milliamps to run the device. Okay, so 132 hours. Okay, that sounds right. That's pretty good. So that's where you get your huge gain, is the amount of power that it takes to run the device. Forget about voltage. You can put 24, 48, whatever, 64, doesn't matter. Higher the voltage is better because you have multiple batteries. So you get 12 volts, you get 24 volts. Put those two together. Now you got double the capacitance, all right? And divide 40 milliamps to run the motor, divided by two. So each battery is only being stressed 20 milliamps. And the battery that size, that's nothing. It's peanuts. That's why you will be able to run that Adams motor for several hundred hours, or 132 hours, whatever the case is, in way less than 132 hours. You could charge up a full battery bank, no problem. And you'll probably still have enough battery charge in there. 84 volts. Yeah, that's fine. See, don't forget too, the higher voltage you put in, the less amperage that the motor actually needs to run. So you might get into a situation, say you had 84 volts going into your Adams motor, got it configured exactly right, and um, then what will happen? All these stupid bots are in here. How do I get rid of these guys? Oh, man. You're going to get me friggin' banned. Oh, these stupid friggin' bots. We are going to report. Um, All right, so I've reported it. Hopefully, we don't have any problems again. So, what I was saying before, the more power you're putting in, the less amperage it's going to take current wise to run the motor. So, if you're going to do 84 volts in, it's going to take very, very little current out of your battery bank to run your motor. Like, you'll probably go into the microamps. Yeah, these stupid bots, I already reported them. They do that and screw up your channel. Unbelievable. YouTube's got to do something about that. And you can't even trace it either. Well, they probably kind of reported them. Oh, great. Wish you told me that sooner, Bernie. So stupid. What's that, Chris? What link did you share? What's this link about solar panel? Oh, they're on Amazon. What's a red light? To me, honestly, solar panels are obsolete. They've been obsolete for a long time. Like, you can solar panels. Know how you make a solar panel stronger? You hook up a small little inverter chip you can buy on Amazon for like $12. It'll change 12 volts DC into 220 AC. And they take like less than an amp of current. You hook up 4 or 5 solar panels to it. Now your 4 or 5 solar panels are putting out 220 volts at like 1 amp. Way more powerful. Like, just adding one simple little circuit's about that big. You can look it up. It's on Amazon. 12 volts DC input, and you get 220 out. And you can make your solar panel way more powerful. Sorry, I gotta stand up here for a minute. The legs are getting tired sitting down too long. Now you're looking at my ceiling. Yeah, I've experimented with solar panels and stuff like that. Any other questions, ideas? There's not too many people logged in. Last night we had quite a few. Tonight's kind of a quiet night. Microinverters, quite common in large domestic rooftop installations. Not free energy though, just one more efficient transmission over distance. Yeah, if you can bump up the power of a solar panel, then you're putting more potential into a battery bank. The idea is to charge the battery bank as fast as possible in a short period of time. Yeah, we'll see how it's going. We've been 35 minutes into the live chat here. It seems to be a little bit quiet tonight. We'll go for a little while longer, but I think I'll cut it off at 1 hour for sure. It's just probably middle of the week. People got to work. Some people live in the UK. They're it's like 2 a.m. in the morning there, so there's time differences. But I've set this live chat up so after the stream is over, it'll stay active. Yeah, we can chat about when we can do a live stream. I know Saturday's out of the question. I'm going to be out of town for a birthday party, but maybe Sunday we can do something. Thanks, Bernie. Yeah, yeah. Everybody's in a different time zone, and yeah, I know it's kind of hard to all get together at one given time and do a live stream. So, well, the main thing is that these get recorded and then they get posted. So, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, my computer's telling me I gotta start dumping files. I'm getting to the point where I got too much on this computer. Sunday is perfect. I already got Campbell booked for a stream Sunday evening. Should work. We'll get. Yeah, I should get past 2,000 subscribers. What I'm trying to do is get my watch time hours up. So I'm getting very close. I'm at 3,100. I need 4,000 watch time hours in order to be able to monetize on my channel. So I'm basically one step away from getting monetized. So, and then after that, I still got to get approved by YouTube anyway. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know when that's going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, as soon as I get my watch time hours up, and then I'll be able to monetize and then generate a little bit more revenue for the channel. Right now, I'm just kind of um, you know you know getting some money off of my Patreon, and that's about it right now. Yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, bottom right hand corner, give me a thumbs up if you like the live stream. And yeah, just start going through my videos one by one. You'll learn something. It's been a learning curve for me too. So some of the stuff, it changes as time goes on. I'm learning stuff. So stuff that I did, a year ago or whatever might not really even be valid anymore because I didn't know. I didn't know, and now I know. And that's all part of the learning process. So you can kind of see the evolution I go through. Thanks, Bernie. Yeah. Well, let's get some more questions going. If not, we're going to end the stream. I guess Not too many people are logging in tonight. Only got 4 people logged in right now. So ask your questions. Speak now. Speak now. um, can the Tesla air gap circuit be made to produce meaningful amounts of power with the spark gap? Sure, yeah. There, there's a guy called Energy Researcher. Basically, what he's doing is taking 2 Tesla coils. One's the transmitter, one's the receiver. And the idea with the Tesla coil is to create this field of flux around the Tesla coil. So, because you're disturbing that field around it, you got this flux field of energy in the ether, in the dielectric field around it. Now, if you put an antenna inside that field, now you can tap off it, right? And the best part about it is when you tap off it here, the transmitter coil doesn't get affected. It just keeps transmitting. There's no load if you've done it correctly. So both coils have to be in harmonic resonance. So what's going to happen is the primary coil is the small coil at the bottom. It's usually about 3 or 4 windings, and then you have the secondary coil is what creates that field around the coil. So you're disturbing all the ether around that coil, that field. That'd be charged particles, ions, cosmic part. Everything is in there. All right. It's an induction, exactly, but it's an air core. What you know, you're creating the flux field around it. So when you take the second coil, that's in same harmonic resonance as the transmitter coil. Whatever this one transmits, this one's going to mimic exactly the same power output. So from there, it goes through the small windings, the secondary, and then he's got 4 coils, I think, of 10 gauge wire at the bottom. So from the high power, high frequency, high voltage, now he's stepping it down to the 4 coils. Okay. So when you're stepping high voltage down to a lower voltage, guess what happens? Your amperage now increases. So your power goes down in voltage, but your amperage goes up. So now all you have to do is take that high potential that's coming off the small coil, the primary coil, dump that into a full wave bridge rectifier, and now you can run stuff with it, electric motors, charge batteries, whatever. So that's how that works. Yeah, yeah, there's no load. And that's what Tesla was trying everybody to understand with the Wardenclyffe Tower back, in the early 1900s. He was trying to get the Wardenclyffe Tower. He knew if he can create this ginormous flux field, he can transmit the power a certain distance, and all you need is a receiver antenna, step down the voltage to a lower voltage. Now you got higher current. Now you can run your utilities in the house. So that's but what we know today, that kind of wouldn't be possible because obviously back then there was a lot less people around. Maybe in that day it might have worked for a certain area, but his vision was to go global with it. You would basically have to have what we have today. So all the cell phone towers out there, they would have to be Tesla coils. So for every 2 to 3 miles, you'd have to have a Tesla coil set up, like pretty much like our cell phone towers are. So that's how that would work. I never heard that one. French spies. No, he was cut off. J.P. Morgan cut his money off. I did a lot of research on that. As soon as he found out that Tesla wanted to, give out free wireless power to people, that was it. He got chopped. Yeah, I think the ancients, what they were really good on is resonant frequency. They were working with sound, and even comes up in the Bible. Walls of Jericho, the pyramids and stuff. I think they had some heavy duty knowledge in ultrasonics and levitation of objects using sound. So yeah, they could have been way ahead of us when it came to that kind of thing. We're starting to do stuff like that now, but it seemed like the ancients knew something we didn't. Lost knowledge through time. Yeah, there's like those pyramids weren't built by the Egyptians. The pyramids were there 10,000 years before the Egyptians even arrived. The Egyptians inherited the pyramids and they said that it was theirs. They didn't build them. My take on what the pyramids are is they were a giant orgone generator terraforming device. They're a power plant. And Tesla pretty much thinks the same way on that one. That's what he said they were. But over time, the place got looted, pyramids got damaged, the internal chambers were all tampered with. I think there was a lot of copper actually on top of the pyramid itself. Um, I think it was capturing a lot of radiant energy from the atmosphere, and that was going through chambers to the bottom because there's galleries underneath the pyramid that have water in it. And if you're collecting orgone or any kind of electrical potential, guess where that power is getting stored in? Well, yeah, the marble in the pyramids all dielectric. So it's basically a ginormous capacitor. Yeah. And yeah, all that stuff has been eroded over time. It lost its functionality. I would even say it lost its functionality when the Egyptians inherited it. I think the pyramids are way, way older than what they're making them. You know what regular academia is saying. Yeah, they're way, way older than the Egyptian civilization. For all we know, it could have been the Atlanteans that engineered those. And if the Atlanteans were um, as smart as they very well could have been the ones who created the pyramids. I really honestly, I do not believe that the Egyptians made the pyramids. That's just my opinion. Yeah, check out Bernie's channel there, Reefer. He's got some good stuff there, good guests. I'm one of them. Yeah, Bernie gets into more of that ancient history more than I do. I'm more of the techie geeky side. Yeah, well, definitely the Atlanteans. They were the only ones technologically advanced enough to actually contrive something at that scale. I'm gonna. No, I'm staying away from the alternative propulsion stuff for right now. It's just not my vision, what I want to do. I'm into the energy stuff. Maybe down the road I might dabble with it, but right now it's the energy stuff. I think it's more important because where the world's going lately with Putin and his friggin' nukes and all this stuff going. Yeah, of course, there's easy. To me, over unity is not even a question anymore. Just like aliens. Aliens are not a question to me anymore. I already know they exist. So, keeping that in mind, I'm way beyond that now. I already know over unity exists. I already know the ether energy exists. I know it's possible to create more power than going in. I already know this. It's not even an issue in my head anymore. So, um, you know, the suppression is really, the academia. Academia is the suppression of information because they've all been written and controlled by the powers to be. Your kids are only allowed to learn what we tell them to learn. So to me, that's bullshit. So I basically have taken all the physics. Well, they're still in my head, but everything I know about physics and Lenz's law and all this stuff, electricity, I've kind of taken and put it in the trash can, but I haven't dumped the trash can out because every now and then I'm going to pull something out and I'm going to look at it like Lenz's law and say, okay, yeah, it's real, but I can overcome this, and then throw it back in the garbage can again. Um, yeah, you have to build it, man. I'm telling you. If you want to understand the stuff, you actually have to build it. Get on the bench and put something together. You can talk about it day in and day out for hours on end, but until you build one and actually see the effects for yourself, for your in front of your own eyes, seeing is believing, right? I'll believe it when I see it, and I've seen it, so I know it's real, and that's why I'm carrying on with it. Because if it wasn't real to me, and I wasn't able to get the effects, then I wouldn't have wasted my time. But somebody who's into the stuff that believes that it is possible to achieve over unity, you're not going to give up on it. It took me 5 years of experiments, failures, a lot of failures, a lot of blown up reed switches, a lot of burned up coils. Um, the list goes on and on. But I continue to do these experiments, and every now and then I make a little discovery that could be very significant to what I'm doing and help out my projects. And, about 6, 8 months ago, when I discovered the piezo effect on the pulse motors, that was a big, big score. So, yeah, I'm going to head out too here. We've done almost an hour. Um, yeah, we just don't have the crowd tonight. It was way better last night. We had a lot more people last night. So, but regardless, we had some good discussion. The chat board should stay open. I've configured it so the chat board will stay open. And I don't know when I'm going to do the next live stream. It probably won't be till next week because I've got some stuff on the go this weekend. And yeah, so just kind of stay tuned. If I do more experiments, I'll definitely post it on the channel. If you haven't subscribed, bottom right hand corner. And also, if you want to help support me a little bit, I got my links for the Patreon on my other videos there. You can look that up, PayPal, Patreon, all that kind of stuff. Help support me a little bit so I can get the parts I need to do the stuff I need to do. And yeah, um, All right, we'll call it quits, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. Hopefully, maybe this weekend. Yeah, I was thinking about selling kits. Um, that could be a possibility. Maybe the actual circuit I use for um, the Adams motor, I might be able to actually build a small circuit and actually sell it. And then you would just hook it up to a motor system. So, yeah, maybe that might be in the works. I can do that. But, anyways, yeah, I'll leave it. The chat board should stay open. And, yeah, we'll see everybody soon, either in the next video or in the next live. All right, guys, good night. Have a good one. Have a good weekend. And we'll see everybody soon.